everyone, how you doing today? Welcome to my channel. My name is Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and on today's video I am bringing you a brand new original tag, the overlooked book tag. Let's face it, we all do it. We all have like our favourites that we constantly talk about. And then there's always those characters and books and authors that maybe we don't always think to talk about, or that we just completely forget to include for whatever reason. So I came up with this tag in order to highlight some of those overlooked aspects of a book. I've not written these down in like a specific order, it's just kind of, I've written them as they came to me. The only one that has been planned in a specific order is the very last one because it has the most to do. Starting with number one, which is your favourite secondary characters. Every book has its main cast of characters that we follow throughout, but there's always those characters that crop up or are there the whole way through but they don't take that prominent role, so we're looking at those characters. I have a few. In the Side Changeling series, I love Kit, who is one of he's kind of a future alpha, but he's still a teenager and still learning the ropes. And we have Malachi, who is a character that's come in and out throughout, who at the moment is much of a mystery. And the mystery has me intrigued, but I love both of their characters. I just realised I've got the books in front of me to show. But then we have the Raven Cycle. I found myself drawn to Mr. Grey in particular. When he first came in, I wasn't so sure. By the end of book 3, I was obsessed. I love the dynamics that he builds with everybody, especially love the relationship he builds with Blue throughout, and I was so much more interested in him and the women of 300 Fox Way than I was anyone else. And even though I did love the main characters, he in particular really drew to me. And speaking of sort of broken, tortured emo boys who turn to killing, Scar. I have a thing for tortured men, okay? Number 2, an author you didn't like the first time you read, but have read another thing since and now enjoy their work. I don't have many of these, generally because I either really like an author straight away, so I continue to read their stuff, and I do have plenty of authors that I enjoyed at the start and now I'm not a big fan of, but there's only one author that I can think of where it's the other way around, where I didn't originally like them so much, now love them, and that is Sebastian de Castell. I know, surprising considering how much I talk about this series, but he is definitely an author. When I first read Spellslinger, I was like, don't really get it, not really a big fan, not really getting the hype. Then I read The Greatcoats and now I am fully on board the choo-choo hype train and we are going to keep going. Question number 3 is your favourite book from a genre you don't usually read. I am a fantasy, I am a romantasy and a adult contemporary kind of girl with the occasional lit fic in there. One thing I rarely read because in the past I've not enjoyed it is magical surrealism, but I've read a couple in the past year that I really enjoyed, and my favourite of those was Wayward by Amelia Hart. We all know I loved this book last year. I just love this book. And then the other category is non-fiction. It's, I think, 1% of my reading on average for the entirety that I have been reading has been non-fiction, but my favourite of those was Strong Female Character by Fern Brady, which I read this year in January, and it blew me away, as well as answered some questions about myself and made me realise maybe I am in fact actually autistic. Who would have thunk, right? Number 4 are book covers. The book cover was bad, but the story is good, aka the books that maybe we might overlook because we don't like the look of the cover, but you should not judge these by their covers. Most of mine are like the American mass market paperbacks, because Nalini Singh's mass market paperbacks, that one's quite pretty, but this one, no. These ones, no, they don't do it for me. They're tacky and horrible. Also, speaking of mass market paperbacks, we have the Fever series by Karen Marie Moaning. I don't really like any version of the covers that I've seen. I don't feel they fit the vibe of the stories at all. And the Kitty Norville series by Carrie Vaughan, again, just not great. Number 5, the subplot was better than the main plot. Again, we all talk about the main plot in books, but there are always those subplots that sneak in and occasionally they take over the rest of the book and make it that they are more memorable than the main, or you're more invested in that than you are the main storyline. One of those for me, going back to the Raven Boys, is the Mr. Grey storyline. His storyline with the like the dealers and like the triplets and the assassin and the auctioneering of these magical objects, I was so much more invested in that, and I wanted way more from that storyline. I actually, by the end, I did not give any kind of crap about Glendower and Caveswater. I was just like, whatever, I don't care. They can do whatever they're doing. I want to know more about these guys and their story, so give me more. Another one was The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. I didn't like the main kind of romantic plot in this, where it was just kind of like, I might as well smash you and fall in love with you because there's literally no one else and I don't have any other options, so you'll do. And then tried to sell it off as like, you know, they're supposed to be together and it's like they're intended to be soulmates. No, they had no other choice. Of course you're going to screw the only person on board. But I found the subplot, weirdly for me, because it's the most sci-fi part of it, but the subplot with like the robots and how they were being controlled and their orders and what was actually going on back on Earth, way more interested and really disappointed at the outcome of that storyline. And then the other one, shockingly, is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Love this series, think it's one of the best, don't get me wrong. However, am I way more invested in the relationships and the romance in this than I am the actual end of the world storyline? Hell yes. Do I need to say any more? Anytime there is an interaction between Bree and Selwyn, that's it. Anything else could be happening in this book. I will not care because all I care about is what's going on with these two. Number 6 is a book that you would like to give a second chance. For me, I've got Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton, rereading and giving this series another try because I want to work out if I am prepared to invest myself in 20 plus books. And then we have Dark Rise by C.S. Picat, which is a book that I started last year for a group read. I got 120 pages in. I was enjoying it, I was having a good time, but for some reason it just kind of fell off my radar. And I've never quite been in the right frame of mind to go back to it. I think it doesn't help, it's quite small writing. And it feels a lot chunkier than it actually is. But I do want to get back to this one at some point. Number 7, a book that you had no interest in and yet somehow people have since persuaded you to give it a try and now it's on your TBR. This has happened to me a few times, annoyingly. The first and biggest one of these for me is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. Do I read horror? No. Have I ever heard of the Fall of the House of Usher and know anything about it? No. Do I read short books? No. But thanks to Ren, I now do. Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson is one I started, so this one kind of links into the previous one as well because it's one that I want to give another try. I started it, at the time I realised I wasn't in the right headset, but then Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe did a video, I think 2 years ago now, saying all the reasons you should read this book, and so now I'm like, okay, I need to read this book because she told me to. And then the final one is Shiver by Junji Ito. Again, do I read horror? No. Did I ever want to read any of his work? No. But thanks to, I think it's Chelsea, who recommended Junji Ito for when I said I want your favourite manga so I can do like a reading friends' favourites manga vlog. Yeah, thanks. Number 8, a background character or moment in the book that stole the show. A single moment in the book that in the grand scheme of things wasn't the biggest thing, but it was just a moment that stuck with you and you absolutely loved and think about a lot. I know I've mentioned this series multiple times, but it's very fresh in my brain, but The Raven Boys, one of my absolute favourite moments in the entire series, and it's still one of my favourites, involves, let's just say, Ronan, Noah and a window. And Gansey being on the phone to Blue while it's all happening, and just the overall beauty of all of that coming together. It just stuck with me and it was so funny, and I just think about it constantly. For those of you who have read the Greatcoat series, wherever I've put that now, book 2 in the Greatcoat series by Sebastian de Castell. If you've read this series, Brasty's Bastards. Beautiful moment. Is it the biggest thing? It is quite a big thing in the plot, but it's not the biggest part of the plot. But it's just one moment where Brasty's Bastards comes together and it's glorious, and I was cackling. Not even laughing, I was full on cackling at that scene. And then even though I have decided to DNF the series and I'm probably never going to pick up another book by this author, I still will maintain and I still stand by the fact that this was my book of the year for 2021 and I did love it. But I will say, Ethan, absolutely stole it for me. I know a lot of people don't like Ethan as a character, but honestly, there was something about him. I understood his pain and his anger and his resentment, and I was just like, he's another one of those broke boys that I just want to give a hug. Number 9 is a series that improves with every book. Some series start great and end great. Some series start great and gradually get worse. Other series have the mid-book slump, but these are books where every single book you feel it just gets better and better and better. And I'm starting off with the Side Changeling series because it took me until book 4 or 5 for me to absolutely love it. And now with every single book, the world gets deeper, the lore gets more advanced, the characters expand, and it is like, you know that guy, the meme where the guy's like this and it's got all of the, I'll put the picture up here, that's how I am with Side Changeling, because I'm just like, and this and this and this and this, and it's just so good, and it improves with every book. Also, harking back, the Greatcoat series by Sebastian de Castell, every single book has just left me more and more emotionally damaged, and I'm now scared to finish it. And we also have My Hero Academia. Obviously, as the series progresses, we're now coming to the climax. Things are coming to a head, but with every arc, this series has just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger and taken a deeper and deeper hold of my guts and my heart and just thrown them to the wolves because, yeah, it's an emotional series, and then adding the soundtrack to the anime on top while I'm reading. Yeah. And then the final, number 10, we have name 3 to 5 books / series that you have never seen anybody else recommend. Obviously, you can recommend things that you yourself have talked about, but if you are the only person you have ever heard talk about these books, let me know. Or if you haven't talked about them, let us know. I have 4 that I've picked out. The first one is Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert that I read at the start of this year. Really loved it. I've never heard anyone talking about it, but I thought it was actually really fun. It's a great one for geeky, nerdy, queer recs. Next up we have Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. Again, I've never heard anyone talk about it. I think it's a really solid YA debut. I had a great time with it. I really liked how the different families had different abilities, and the ending left me shooketh. Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. I know I've talked about it quite a lot, but I don't think I've heard anyone else talk about it or say that they've read it or told me what they think about it. So I'm just going to keep plugging it because I think it's a really underrated series and deals with some very heavy topics in a brilliant way. Finally, we have The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood. The sequel just came out and I don't yet have it, and it is slowly killing me. But this is if you like Enola Holmes and you like those kind of, you know, Bridgerton meets Enola Holmes, you want this book. So good. That is the overlooked book tag. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that you're inspired to give it a go for yourselves. I really want to hear your answers. Please make sure to tag me and link this video if you decide to do it for yourself. And yeah, it's one of those videos that if you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. I'm not going to go through a list of people that I say should do it. Shall I? Yeah, let's go for it. So because I've mentioned them in this video, I'm going to say Ren, Olivia and Chelsea from Chelsea Zhao. So, but like I said, if you want to do this, tag it. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. And until next time.